The crack of his palm against her face echoed through the marble lobby like a gunshot. Cassie Mitchell was 8 months pregnant, standing in the most exclusive private clinic in Manhattan, and her millionaire husband had just slapped her, in front of 12 witnesses, with cameras recording everything. But that wasn't the shocking part. The shocking part was the man in surgical scrubs who stepped through the door, the billionaire surgeon who owned the clinic, the man Cassie hadn't spoken to in 6 years, the man she'd cut out of her life completely because her husband demanded it, her father. In that moment, everything changed. The daughter who chose her abuser over her family, the father who'd been waiting 6 years for this moment, the husband who just made the biggest mistake of his life. Because some men think money equals power. Some men think control equals love. Some men think they can get away with anything. Derek Mitchell was about to learn he was wrong. This is the story of a woman who found her strength in her darkest hour, of a father who never gave up hope, of a baby who changed everything, and of justice that doesn't always look like revenge. Sometimes it looks like freedom. Stay with me, because this story will change how you see everything. The crack of his palm against her face echoed through the marble lobby like a gunshot. Cassie Mitchell's head snapped sideways. The force of it sent her stumbling. Her hand flew to her cheek. The skin burned. Hot, stinging, real. The waiting room of Reed Medical Center went silent. 12 people stopped breathing. A magazine hit the floor. Someone gasped. The sound seemed to come from very far away. Cassie's other hand pressed against her swollen belly. 8 months pregnant. The baby kicked hard inside her. Violent, like even the unborn child felt the violence. "Get up," Derek hissed. His voice was low, controlled, the voice he used when he was most dangerous. "Stop making a scene." But Cassie was already making a scene. She was on her knees, awkward, ungainly. Her purse had spilled when she fell. Lip gloss rolled across the pristine white marble. Prenatal vitamins scattered like confetti. Her wallet lay open, insurance cards everywhere. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm sorry, I'm sorry." She didn't know what she was apologizing for. Dropping her purse, embarrassing him, existing. All of it, everything. Derek stood over her, 6 feet 2 inches of fury in an expensive suit. His jaw was tight. His eyes were cold. This was the man she'd married 6 years ago. The man who promised to love her forever. The man who made her cut off her father, her friends, her life. Grace Patterson, the elderly receptionist, stood up from behind her desk. Her hands shook as she reached for the phone. "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave." Derek ignored her. He looked down at Cassie. "Are you going to get up, or are you going to keep embarrassing me?" Cassie tried to stand. The baby's weight threw off her balance. She reached for the edge of a chair. Missed. Her knee hit the marble hard. Pain shot up her leg. "Derek, please," her voice cracked. "Just help me up." "Help yourself up. You got yourself down there." An elderly man in the corner rose from his seat. "Young man, that's no way to treat a lady, especially one who's expecting." Derek's head swiveled toward him. "Mind your own business, old man." "It became my business when you struck her." The man's voice was steady, firm. "I'm a witness. I saw everything." Derek's face changed. Calculation replaced rage. He looked around the waiting room, counted the witnesses, saw the cameras in the corners, realized what he'd done. "Cassie," his tone shifted, soft now, pleading. "Baby, I didn't mean it. You know I didn't mean it." But before Cassie could respond, the door to the medical wing opened. A man stepped through, tall, silver hair, surgical scrubs. He moved with the confidence of someone who owned the space. Because he did. Jonathan Reed swept the scene with ice-blue eyes. They landed on Cassie, on her reddening cheek, on her position on the floor, on the scattered contents of her life. His face went white, then red, then something harder than either. "Security say, ah," he said quietly. Now, Derek turned to face him, started to speak, stopped. Recognition dawned slowly. "Dr. Reed, I didn't know you were her father?" Jonathan's voice could have cut glass. "No, you wouldn't know that." My daughter hasn't spoken to me in 6 years. Because of you. The words hung in the air like smoke, heavy, choking, true. Cassie's breath caught. 6 years. 6 years since she'd seen her father. 6 years since she chose Derek over her family. 6 years since she decided that love meant sacrifice. That love meant choosing the man who needed her over the man who raised her. She'd been so stupid. Two security guards appeared. They moved fast, professional. They flanked Derek before he could process what was happening. Sir, you need to leave the premises. Derek's confusion was genuine. What? No, I'm with my wife. This is a misunderstanding. Jonathan stepped closer. Didn't touch Derek. Didn't need to. His presence alone was a wall. You just struck a pregnant woman in my clinic. There is no misunderstanding. She fell. She's clumsy. The pregnancy makes her. I saw you hit her. The elderly man spoke up again. We all did. A woman with a toddler nodded. I saw it too. Grace held up her phone. I have you on video from the moment you raised your hand. Derek's face cycled through emotions. Shock, anger, denial, bargaining. Cassie, tell them. Tell them it was an accident. Cassie opened her mouth. No sound came out. Her throat was tight. Her cheek throbbed. The baby kicked again. Harder this time. Insistent. She touched her cheek once. Twice. 3 times. Once for the sting. Once to check if it was real. Once because she needed something to do with her hands. Cassie, Derek's voice took on that tone. The one that made her stomach drop. The one that meant she'd pay for this later. Baby, please. Jonathan moved between them. You have 5 seconds to leave voluntarily or I call the police. Your choice. She's my wife. That's my child. And she's my daughter, who you just assaulted in front of 12 witnesses. Jonathan's voice dropped lower, deadlier. I've spent 6 years respecting her decision to cut me out of her life. That ends today. He nodded to security. They each took one of Derek's arms. Not rough, not gentle, professional. Derek tried to pull away. Get your hands off me. Cassie, are you going to let them do this? But Cassie wasn't looking at Derek anymore. She was looking at her father, at the man she'd abandoned, at the only person who'd ever really loved her without conditions. Tears spilled twice in her stomach. Hot, fast, 6 years of them. Get him out of here, Jonathan said. If he resists, call the police and have him arrested for assault. Derek's face hardened. The mask dropped completely. Fine, I'll wait in the car. But Cassie, he looked past Jonathan, locked eyes with her. You're making a mistake. You know what happens when you make mistakes. The threat was clear. Cassie's whole body went cold. Security escorted Derek toward the exit. He went, but he threw one last look back. Not apologetic, not loving, calculating, like he was already 3 steps ahead, planning his next move. The doors closed behind him with a soft click. The waiting room exhaled. Cassie realized she'd been holding her breath. She let it out. It came in waves, the kind of crying that comes from somewhere deep, somewhere that's been holding on too long. Jonathan knelt in front of her, eye level. His hands hovered near hers, close but not touching, asking permission. Always asking permission. Are you hurt? Is the baby okay? Cassie nodded, then shook her head, then nodded again. She didn't know. Everything hurt. Nothing hurt. She felt nothing and everything. Grace appeared with a wheelchair. Honey, sit down, you're shaking. Cassie let them help her into the chair. Her legs wouldn't hold her anyway. The baby kicked, frantic little feet against her ribs. She pressed her palm there. Shh, it's okay. We're okay. But she wasn't sure that was true. Let's get you examined, Jonathan said gently. Dr. Hoffman, exam room 1, please. Full assessment. Maya Hoffman appeared, a woman in her 40s, warm brown eyes, kind face. Of course, come on, sweetheart. Let's check on that baby. As they wheeled Cassie toward the exam rooms, she found her voice, barely a whisper. I'm sorry. Jonathan walked beside the wheelchair. Didn't ask what she was sorry for. He knew. Sorry for choosing Derek. Sorry for the 6 years. Sorry for proving him right. Sorry for everything. We'll talk later, he said softly. Right now, we take care of you and my grandchild. My grandchild. The words hit Cassie hard. She'd stolen that from him. 6 years of pregnancy announcements in baby showers and joy. Gone. Because Derek convinced her that her father was toxic, controlling, manipulative. All the things Derek actually was. The exam room door closed behind them. Cassie heard the lock click, felt safe for the first time in years. But safety felt foreign now. Dangerous, like something that would be taken away the moment she relaxed into it. She was right to be afraid. The exam room smelled like lavender and antiseptic. Cassie's mother used to wear lavender perfume. Elena Reed, dead 4 years now, cancer. Cassie didn't go to the funeral. Derek said it would be too emotional, too stressful, not good for her mental health. Another lie she'd believed. Dr. Hoffman helped her onto the exam table. The paper crinkled under her weight. Let's get this baby on the monitor first, then we'll check you over. The fetal heart monitor came on. That sound, thump, 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 fast, strong, alive. Cassie closed her eyes, let the sound wash over her. Her daughter was okay. Whatever else happened, her daughter was okay. Jonathan stood by the door, not hovering, just present. His jaw was still tight. His hands were clenched at his sides. Fury barely contained. Dr. Hoffman worked with gentle efficiency, checked Cassie's blood pressure. High, 140/90, not dangerously high, but not good either. Checked the baby's position. Head down, good. Examined Cassie's face. The handprint was already showing. Purple bloomed across her cheekbone. Derek's fingers left marks. 4 perfect lines. Evidence. I need to document this, Dr. Hoffman said quietly. With your permission, I'll photograph the injury and note it in your chart. Cassie hesitated. Documentation meant evidence. Evidence meant real. Official. No taking it back. You don't have to decide anything right now, Dr. Hoffman continued. But if you ever need proof of what happened today, you'll have it. Cassie thought about the threat in Derek's eyes. You know what happens when you make mistakes. Okay, she whispered. The camera flash made her flinch. Once, twice, 3 times, 3 different angles. Clinical, detached, each photo a timestamp of her failure. Dr. Hoffman pulled up Cassie's chart on her tablet, scrolled through, stopped. Her expression shifted, concerned. Cassie, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me. Cassie's heart rate spiked. The baby monitor beeped faster, matching her pulse. Okay. Have there been other incidents like today? The question hung in the air. Heavy. Cassie's throat tightened. Define incidents. Has your husband hurt you before? The baby kicked. Hard. Like even she knew the answer mattered. He's never... Cassie started. Stopped. How did you explain it? Today was the first time he hit me. With his hand, but... Dr. Hoffman's voice was gentle. Patient. He throws things. Punches walls. Gets in my face when he's angry. Yells until I apologize. Until I admit I'm wrong. Even when I'm not. The words tumbled out, faster now. He checks my phone, tracks my location. Decides what I wear, where I go, who I see. He says it's because he loves me, because he wants to protect me. That's not protection, Jonathan said from the doorway. His voice was rough. That's control. Cassie looked at him. Really looked. Saw the pain in his eyes. You tried to tell me, 6 years ago, you said he was dangerous. You told me I was trying to control you, that I couldn't stand seeing you happy. Derek said that. He put those words in my mouth. Cassie's face crumpled. I was so stupid. You weren't stupid, you were manipulated. There's a difference. Dr. Hoffman made notes on her tablet. Cassie, I'm going to refer you to our social services coordinator. She specializes in domestic situations. No pressure, but resources are available if you want them. He'll be so angry if he finds out I talked about this. He's already angry, Jonathan pointed out. He hit you in public, in front of witnesses, with cameras recording. What does he do in private when no one's watching? The question broke something open inside Cassie. The truth came pouring out. 6 years of it. He makes me feel crazy, like I'm overreacting, imagining things, being too sensitive. He apologizes after, says he's stressed, says I pushed him, says he'll do better. And I believe him, every time. I believe him because I need to believe him. Because if he's lying, then everything is a lie. My whole life is a lie. Her voice rose, cracked. I left my father for him, my friends, my job, everything. I made myself smaller and smaller until I almost disappeared. And for what? For a man who hits me in public? Who cheats on me? Who? She stopped, covered her mouth. I shouldn't have said that. He's cheating on you. Jonathan's voice was deadly quiet. I don't know for sure. There are signs. Late nights, unexplained charges, perfume that isn't mine. But when I ask, he says I'm paranoid, hormonal, crazy. She laughed. It sounded broken. Maybe I am crazy. You're not crazy, Dr. Hoffman said firmly. Your instincts are telling you something is wrong. Trust them. She set down the tablet. Here's what's going to happen. I'm admitting you for observation. Your blood pressure is elevated. You're showing signs of stress. And I want to monitor the baby for the next 24 hours. I can't. Derek will nothing, Jonathan interrupted. He's banned from this facility. Security has his photo. If he tries to enter, he'll be arrested for trespassing. Cassie's phone buzzed in her purse. Once, twice, 3 times, 4. She didn't look, couldn't look, but she knew it was Derek. Texting, calling, demanding, threatening. The buzzing continued. 5, 6, 7. You don't have to answer, Dr. Hoffman said. If I don't, he'll just keep calling. He'll show up at the house. Cassie's breathing quickened. The baby monitor beeped faster. He always finds a way. Jonathan moved closer, sat on the edge of the exam table. Not this time. This time you have backup. You have me. You have this hospital. You have the law on your side. The law doesn't stop men like Derek. No, but money does. Power does, and I have both. His voice softened. Let me help you, please. Let me do what I should have done 6 years ago. What's that? Protect my daughter. The words undid her. Cassie dissolved into sobs. Deep, wrenching, the kind that come from the center of your chest, from the place you've been holding everything together. Jonathan pulled her into his arms. She collapsed against him. He held her tight, rocked her gently, the way he did when she was small, when she had nightmares, when the world was too big and scary. I'm sorry, she gasped between sobs. Mom died and I wasn't there. I didn't even call. I didn't go to the funeral. Derek said, I know what Derek said. None of that matters now. You're here. That's what matters. She must have hated me. She loved you. She was worried about you, but she never hated you. Jonathan's voice broke. Neither did I. Not for 1 second. Cassie cried harder, for her mother, for the years lost, for the woman she used to be before Derek convinced her she was nothing without him. Dr. Hoffman stepped out quietly, gave them privacy. Time. When Cassie finally stopped crying, her face was swollen. Her nose was running. She felt wrung out, empty, but also lighter, like she'd released something toxic. What happens now? She asked. Now we admit you, get you settled, make sure you and the baby are safe. Jonathan handed her a tissue. Then we make a plan. A plan for what? For whatever comes next, whatever you decide. I'm here, no matter what. Cassie's phone buzzed again. 17 missed calls, 23 text messages. She finally looked. The first few were apologetic. Baby, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. You know I love you. Then they got angry. Answer your phone. This is ridiculous. You're overreacting. Then threatening. You're making this worse. You'll regret this. I'll make sure of it. She showed Jonathan. He read them. His jaw tightened. Forward these to me and to Dr. Hoffman. We're documenting everything. He'll say I'm trying to frame him, make him look bad. Cassie, he is bad. You're not making him look like anything. You're just showing people who he really is. But that was the problem. Derek was good at hiding who he really was, good at playing the victim, good at making people believe his version of reality. Cassie had believed it for 6 years. Now she had to learn how to believe herself again. They moved Cassie to a private room on the maternity ward. Fourth floor, corner unit, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park. The room was beautiful, expensive. This wasn't standard hospital care. This was billionaire father care. Cassie sat propped up in the hospital bed, monitors attached to her belly, the baby's heartbeat steady now, her own pulse calming. The medication Dr. Hoffman gave her was working. Something for anxiety, something to bring down her blood pressure. She felt floaty, disconnected, like she was watching everything from outside herself. Jonathan sat in the visitor's chair. He'd changed out of his surgical scrubs. Dark slacks, blue button down. He looked tired, older than she remembered. 6 years could do that. They hadn't really talked yet, not about the big things, the years of silence, the choice she made, the life she destroyed when she chose Derek. "I should call him," Cassie finally said. "Weep him. He's my husband. He's probably worried." Jonathan's laugh was bitter. "He's probably calling his lawyer." Cassie's phone sat on the bedside table. 32 missed calls now. 47 text messages. She'd stopped looking after the first batch. "When did it start?" Jonathan asked quietly. "The control." Cassie picked at the thin hospital blanket. White, scratchy, real. "I don't know. Gradually, like a frog in boiling water. You don't notice until you're cooked." "Tell me." She took a breath, tried to organize 6 years into words. First, he was attentive, wanted to know everything about me, what I was thinking, where I was going, who I was seeing. It felt like love, like he cared so much he couldn't stand being apart. And then? And then it was concerns. He didn't like my friend Nina, said she was a bad influence, encouraged me to drink too much, kept me out too late. So I stopped seeing her, to make him happy. Jonathan's hands gripped the armrest of the chair, knuckles white. He thought my job at the gallery was beneath me, that I was wasting my potential, that I should be home when he needed me. So I quit. For us. She laughed without humor. Everything was always for us, for our future, for our relationship. "Did you want to quit?" "I don't remember anymore. By then, maybe wanting things felt selfish. His needs were more important. His work was more important. I was just..." She stopped, swallowed hard. "I was just his wife. That became my whole identity. And your father, your mother, why cut us out?" This was the hard part, the part that made her stomach hurt. "He said you were toxic, that you couldn't stand seeing me happy, that you'd always treated him badly because he wasn't good enough for your daughter, that you'd never approve of anyone I chose." "Did you believe that?" "I wanted to, because if I didn't, then I had to admit I was wrong, that I'd chosen wrong. And I couldn't do that. I'd already given up so much. If I admitted Derek was wrong, then all of it was for nothing." Sunk cost fallacy. What? It's a cognitive bias, the idea that you've invested so much time, energy, or resources into something that you can't walk away, even when walking away is the only rational choice. Cassie stared at the monitors, watched the lines spike and fall, the baby's heartbeat, her own, 2 lives connected. "I've wasted 6 years. You haven't wasted anything. You've learned, survived, that's not nothing. I abandoned my mother when she was dying." Jonathan's face crumpled, just for a second. Then he pulled it back together. "Your mother understood. She knew what Derek was. She hoped you'd come back before it was too late. But I didn't. You're here now." A knock at the door interrupted them. A woman entered, late 40s, professional but warm, dark pantsuit, folder under her arm. "Hi, Cassie. I'm Linda Morrison. I'm the social services coordinator Dr. Hoffman mentioned." Cassie tensed. Social services meant real, official, permanent. "I don't need..." "She needs everything you can offer," Jonathan interrupted. Then to Cassie, "Just listen, please." Linda sat in the second visitor's chair, opened her folder. "I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to make sure you know your options." "What options?" "First, safety. Do you feel safe going home?" Cassie's silence was answer enough. "Okay, we have resources, temporary housing, legal aid, protection orders. Whatever you need to feel safe. I'm not leaving my house. It's my home. Why should I leave? You shouldn't have to, Linda agreed. But sometimes strategic retreat is the smartest move, at least until you have a plan. A plan for what? For whatever comes next. Reconciliation, separation, divorce, whatever you decide, you need to be safe while you decide it. The word divorce hit Cassie like cold water. She hadn't let herself think it. Not really. Divorce meant failure. Divorce meant admitting Derek was right about her, that she couldn't do anything right, that she ruined everything she touched. I'm 8 months pregnant, Cassie whispered. I can't do this alone. I don't know how. Jonathan leaned forward. You're not alone. You have me. You have resources. You have choices you didn't have this morning. I left you. I cut you out of my life for 6 years. Why would you help me now? His eyes shone with unshed tears. Because you're my daughter. Because I've spent 6 years waiting for you to come back. Because I meant it when I said I'd always be here. His voice broke. And because I failed your mother once, I let her father hurt her before I stepped in. I won't make that mistake with you. The confession hung between them. Cassie knew the story. Her grandfather had been abusive. Her grandmother normalized it. Survival tactic. Her mother grew up thinking love looked like that, until Jonathan showed her different. And Cassie had gone and chosen the same pattern anyway. History repeating, cycles continuing. I don't want my daughter to grow up like I did, Cassie said. Scared all the time, walking on eggshells, watching her father hurt her mother and thinking that's normal. That's love. Then don't let her, Linda said simply. You have the power to break the cycle, right now, today. But breaking cycles was hard. Leaving was dangerous. Derek wasn't the type to let go easily. He'd fight, punish, make her regret it. What if I can't do it? Cassie asked. What if I'm not strong enough? You've been strong enough to survive 6 years with a man who tried to destroy you, Jonathan said. Leaving is just a different kind of strength. Linda pulled papers from her folder. Here's a list of resources, shelters, legal aid, therapists who specialize in domestic abuse, support groups. You don't have to decide anything today, but keep the list for when you're ready. Cassie took the papers. They felt heavy, real, like accepting them meant admitting the truth. Her marriage was over, had been for a long time. She just hadn't been ready to see it. Now she couldn't unsee it. Her phone buzzed again. Derek, always Derek. She looked at the screen. A new message. Just 3 words. We need to talk. But Cassie was done talking, done explaining, done apologizing for existing, done making herself small to fit into Derek's idea of who she should be. She turned off her phone. The screen went dark. The buzzing stopped. The silence felt like freedom. Evening came. The sun set over Central Park. Pink and orange painted the sky. Beautiful. Cassie sat in the window seat, legs curled under her as much as her pregnant belly allowed, hands resting on the swell of her stomach. The baby moved, gentle now, small rolls and stretches, content, safe. Jonathan read in the visitor's chair. A medical journal, something about cardiac procedures. He'd been there all day, canceled his surgeries, rearranged his schedule, just sat with her, present but not hovering, there when she needed him, quiet when she didn't. It reminded her of childhood, when she'd had nightmares. He'd sit in the chair by her bed, reading, the lamp casting a soft glow, not talking, just there, until she fell back asleep. Some things didn't change. The nurse came in, checked Cassie's vitals. Blood pressure down to 120/80. Better. The baby's heart rate steady, 140 beats per minute. Perfect. You're doing great, the nurse said. Her name was Sophie, young, kind. Try to rest. I'll be back in a few hours. After she left, Cassie watched the city lights come on below. Manhattan sparkled. So many lives, so many stories. Hers just one of millions. That thought was comforting, somehow. Her pain wasn't unique. Other women had survived worse. They'd gone on to live full lives. Maybe she could too. What was Mom like? Cassie asked suddenly. At the end, when she was dying, Jonathan set down his journal, removed his reading glasses, rubbed the bridge of his nose. She was brave, scared but brave. She made me promise to keep trying with you, to be here when you were ready to come back. Did she think I would? Come back? She hoped. We both did. I'm sorry I didn't. Before she died, I'm sorry I wasn't there. So am I, but I'd understand why. Derek isolated you, made you feel like you couldn't come back, that we wouldn't want you. That's what abusers do. They cut you off from support systems, make you dependent on them alone. Cassie had heard that before, in articles, in PSAs, but she never thought it applied to her. She wasn't that woman, the one in the shelter commercials, the one with black eyes and broken bones, except she was. The bruise on her face proved it. How did you know, she asked, 6 years ago. How did you know what Derek was? Experience. I've seen enough trauma patients to recognize the pattern. Controlling behavior, isolation tactics, love bombing followed by criticism, gaslighting. All textbook. But I was so sure. I thought I knew better. I thought you were overreacting, being overprotective. That's part of the manipulation. He made you doubt yourself, doubt me, doubt reality itself, until his version was the only version. Cassie touched her cheek. The bruise had deepened, purple now, yellow edges. It would be worse tomorrow. Darker, more obvious, harder to hide, but maybe she didn't want to hide it anymore. Her phone was still off, sitting on the bedside table. Dark, silent. She turned it on once, briefly, to forward the threatening messages to Jonathan and Dr. Hoffman, then off again. The messages had gotten worse, angrier, more desperate. Derek cycled through all his tactics: apology, anger, blame, threats, love bombing, guilt tripping. She recognized them all now. The playbook was so predictable once you saw it. How had she been blind for so long? What happens tomorrow? Cassie asked. After they discharge me, you come home with me. I've already prepared your old room, hired private nurses to help with the pregnancy, set up everything you'll need. He'll come looking for me. Let him. My building has security. He won't get past the lobby. He'll call, text, email, show up at your office. Then we'll document it all. Get a restraining order. Build a legal case. Whatever it takes to keep you and the baby safe. The baby. Cassie still couldn't believe she was having a girl. She'd found out at the last ultrasound. 20 weeks. The tech had slipped. Called the baby she instead of they. Derek wanted a boy. He'd been so sure it would be a boy. Had names picked out. Sports equipment already purchased. Plans for father-son activities. When Cassie told him it was a girl, he'd been quiet, withdrawn. Said all the right things, but she could feel his disappointment. The way he touched her belly changed. Less often, less tender. Another red flag she'd ignored. I want to name her Elena, Cassie said. After Mom. Jonathan's eyes filled with tears. He blinked them back. She would have loved that. Elena Rose. Rose was Mom's middle name. I remember. They sat in comfortable silence. The monitors beeped softly. The city hummed below. Life continued. The world kept turning, even when yours fell apart. A new knock at the door. Jonathan tensed. Come in. It was Brielle, Derek's sister. She stood in the doorway, uncertain, apologetic. Can I come in, please? Cassie's first instinct was to say no. Brielle was Derek's family, his ally, his defender, but something in her face looked different, broken, real. 5 minutes, Jonathan said. If Cassie wants you to leave, you leave immediately. I understand. Brielle stepped in, closed the door, looked at Cassie, really looked, saw the bruise. Oh God, Cass, I'm so sorry. Did Derek send you? He called me, but I'm not here for him. Brielle sat in the empty chair, twisted her hands in her lap. I'm here for you. Why should I believe that? Because I've been making excuses for my brother my whole life. Our mother taught us that family loyalty means protecting each other from consequences, that we present a united front, that we never air dirty laundry. She looked up, tears streaming. But this isn't dirty laundry. This is abuse, and I can't pretend anymore. Cassie didn't know what to say. Brielle had always been nice to her, friendly, but she'd also made excuses when Derek was cruel, smoothed things over, normalized his behavior. What did he say when he called? Cassie asked. That you overreacted, that he barely touched you, that your father is poisoning you against him, that you're hormonal and irrational because of the pregnancy. And what do you think? Long pause. Brielle's composure cracked completely. I think he's always had a temper. I think I've watched him escalate for years, get worse with every girlfriend, every wife. You're his third serious relationship. Did you know that? Cassie's stomach dropped. No. The first one left after 6 months. Wouldn't say why. The second one lasted 2 years. She took out a restraining order. Derek said she was crazy, vindictive, lying to hurt him. Mom believed him. I believed him because that's what we did. The room spun. Derek had been engaged before Cassie. He'd mentioned one ex, said it ended badly, said she was unstable. Cassie never questioned it. Why are you telling me this now? Because I can't watch another woman get destroyed by my brother. Because I have a daughter. And if she ever ends up with someone like Derek, I'd want someone to tell her the truth. Brielle leaned forward. The truth is Derek is abusive. He's a narcissist. He's never going to change. And you need to run as far and as fast as you can. Jonathan stood, held out his hand to Brielle. Thank you. That took courage. It took too long. Brielle shook his hand, then looked back at Cassie. There's more. Derek's business partner, Trevor, called me. He's worried. He says Derek's been making bad decisions, risky investments, using company money for personal expenses. He thinks Derek's on the verge of financial collapse. Derek's a millionaire. Derek was a millionaire. Trevor thinks most of it's gone, or never existed in the first place. Debt, loans, leveraged assets. If you divorce him, there might not be much to split. Cassie processed this. Derek always presented himself as wealthy, successful. He paid for everything, expensive restaurants, designer clothes, the house, the cars. But she'd never seen the actual finances. He handled all that, said it was too complicated for her to understand, said she didn't need to worry her pretty little head about money. Another control tactic, another way to keep her dependent. Does Trevor want to testify now, Isha? Jonathan asked. If it comes to a custody battle? Yes. He's willing to document everything. The financial problems, the erratic behavior, the times Derek came to work drunk, the sexual harassment complaints from female employees that got buried. Each revelation was a punch. How had Cassie not known any of this? How had she been so blind? But she knew the answer. Derek was good. He had two faces. The public one was charming, successful, perfect. The private one was the monster. And Cassie had been the only one who saw the monster. Until now. The baby kicked, hard, like she was protesting, like she knew her father wasn't who he pretended to be. I need air, Cassie said suddenly. I need to not be in this room talking about Derek anymore. Let's take a walk, Jonathan suggested. Just down the hall. The nurse's station is that way. You can move around. They helped her up, disconnected the monitors temporarily, helped her into a robe, slippers. She shuffled into the hallway, moved slowly. The baby's weight made everything harder. But moving felt good, better than sitting, better than thinking. They walked to the nurse's station. Sophie was there. She smiled. Restless? Something like that. That's normal. Third trimester insomnia. The baby's probably sitting on your bladder. Among other things. They walked back, past other rooms, heard other women in labor, crying, breathing, bringing life into the world. Soon that would be Cassie. Soon she'd hold her daughter, Elena Rose, a whole person, a life that depended on her. The weight of that responsibility hit hard. She had to get this right, had to protect her daughter, had to be stronger than she'd been, had to break the cycle. Back in the room, Brielle was still there, waiting. There's something else, she said. I probably shouldn't tell you, but you deserve to know. Cassie's heart sank. What else could there be? Derek's been seeing someone, an affair. Trevor told me, said it's been going on for at least 6 months. The revelation should have hurt, should have shocked. But Cassie just felt numb. Of course he was cheating. Of course. It made sense. The distance, the late nights, the unexplained charges. Who? She asked. A paralegal at his company. Her name is Amber. She's 27. Of course she was. Young, beautiful, probably everything Cassie wasn't. Everything pregnancy made impossible to be. Did Trevor give you proof? Photos, credit card statements, hotel records, everything you need for a divorce. Forward it all to me, Washaya, Jonathan said, and to our lawyer. Brielle pulled out her phone, started sending files. Cassie's email dinged, over and over. Evidence, proof, the truth. Thank you, Cassie said finally, for choosing me over your brother. I should have chosen you a long time ago. I'm sorry it took this long. After Brielle left, Cassie got back into bed, exhausted, wrung out. Too much information, too many revelations. Her brain couldn't process it all. Rest, Jonathan said. We'll deal with everything tomorrow. But Cassie's mind was racing. Derek was broke, cheating, abusive, had a history of this, and she'd married him, built a life with him, was having his child. How did she extract herself from this mess? How did she start over at 30 years old, 8 months pregnant, with no job, no money, no identity outside of being Derek's wife? I don't know who I am anymore, she whispered. Without him, I don't know. Then you get to discover it, Jonathan said. Figure out who Cassie is, who she wants to be. It's not too late. But it felt too late. It felt like Derek had hollowed her out, taken everything, left nothing but a shell. The baby kicked again, insistent, real, alive. Maybe not everything, maybe there was still something left, something Derek couldn't touch, couldn't take. Maybe there was still hope. Day 2 in the hospital, Cassie's blood pressure was better, 115/75. The baby's heart rate stayed steady, all good signs. But Cassie felt heavy, weighted down by information, by choices, by the future looming ahead. Around 9 in the morning, Nina showed up, Cassie's former best friend. They hadn't spoken in 4 years. Derek had slowly cut her out, said Nina was dramatic, always creating problems, keeping Cassie out too late, encouraging bad habits. Another lie. Nina stood in the doorway, shorter hair now, pixie cut. It suited her. She looked confident, successful, like she'd lived a whole life in the years they had been apart. I heard, Nina said simply. Through Brielle, I came as soon as I could. Cassie started crying. Nina rushed to the bed, hugged her carefully, around the belly, around the monitors. I'm sorry, Cassie sobbed. I'm so sorry I cut you out. Don't apologize to me. I'm not the one who got hurt yesterday. I should have listened to you. You tried to tell me about Derek, about what he was. You weren't ready to hear it. Sometimes we have to learn things the hard way. Nina sat on the edge of the bed, took Cassie's hand. I need to tell you something. I probably should have told you a long time ago, but I was afraid. Afraid you'd hate me. Afraid I'd push you further away. Cassie's stomach nodded. What? Nina pulled out her phone, opened her photos, showed Cassie, Derek, at a restaurant with a woman, young, beautiful, blonde, his hand on her knee, leaning in close, intimate. More photos. Derek and the woman leaving a hotel, getting into his car, kissing in a parking garage. Each photo was a knife. Twisting, cutting, real. When? Cassie's voice sounded hollow. 2 months ago, I hired a private investigator. Before you judged me, I was worried. You stopped returning calls, stopped showing up to things. I thought Derek was hurting you and you were hiding it. Who is she? Her name is Amber Wilson. She's a paralegal at Derek's company. Nina swiped through more photos, timestamps, locations, dates. It's been going on for at least 6 months, maybe longer. The investigator found credit card charges, hotels, jewelry, flowers, none of it for you. Cassie stared at the images, tried to feel something, anger, betrayal, pain, but there was just numbness, a cold, settling certainty. I knew, she whispered. I didn't want to know, but I knew. Your gut was telling you something was wrong. My gut has been telling me for years. I just kept ignoring it, telling myself I was paranoid, crazy. Like Derek said. Jonathan appeared in the doorway, took one look at the photos. His face hardened. Forward those to me and to our lawyer. We're building a case. Nina sent everything. The evidence piled up. Abuse, infidelity, financial problems, pattern of behavior. Derek wasn't just a bad husband. He was a bad person. There's more, Nina said hesitantly. The investigator found something else. Something about Derek's finances. He's been lying about his net worth. Most of his assets are leveraged. Loans against loans. He's deeply in debt. The house you live in, second mortgage. The cars, leased, the lifestyle, all credit cards. Cassie's world tilted. How much debt? Close to $2 million, and that's what we know about. There could be more. $2 million. Cassie couldn't breathe. How was that possible? Derek talked about money like it was infinite, like they had more than they could ever spend. When you divorce him, Nina continued gently, you need to make sure you're not liable for his debts. You need a really good lawyer. I have one, Jonathan said. Rebecca Hart, best family attorney in New York. She's ruthless. Exactly what Cassie needs. Cassie's head spun. Divorce, lawyers, debt, custody. Everything was moving too fast. Too much. She couldn't process it all. The baby kicked, hard, insistent, like she was trying to remind her mother she was there, that she mattered, that Cassie had to hold it together. For her. I need to know something, Cassie said suddenly. The dates. When did the affair start? Nina checked her notes. The investigator found the first hotel charge in early March. But it could have started before that, March. Cassie counted backward. She got pregnant in February. Mid-February. She remembered because it was Valentine's Day weekend, one of the few times Derek had been present. Attentive, intimate. 9 months from mid-February, due date mid-November. The math worked out, but March was close. What if she miscounted? What if the baby wasn't Derek's? The thought made her dizzy, sick, hopeful, terrified. I need a paternity test, she blurted out. Everyone stared at her. What? Nina's eyes widened. Cass, you think... I don't know. The timing. What if I'm wrong about when I got pregnant? What if she's not Derek's? Whose would she be? Jonathan asked carefully. Cassie's face burned. There was someone, Marcus, Nina's husband. He came to fix a leaking faucet. Early March. Derek was away on business. We had wine. We talked. He touched my hand. I pulled away. Nothing happened. But something almost happened. Cassie remembered the moment. The way Marcus looked at her. The way her heart raced. The way she almost let him kiss her. She'd felt so guilty afterward, so ashamed. Good wives didn't almost cheat. Good wives didn't want other men. But Derek was already cheating. Had been for months, maybe longer. Marcus wouldn't, Nina said slowly. He never mentioned. Because nothing happened. But what if the timing is off? What if I miscounted? What if Derek isn't the father? Better Hoffman appeared. Perfect timing, or terrible timing, depending on perspective. Is everything okay? Your heart rate spiked. I need a paternity test, Cassie said again. Before she's born, is that possible? Der Hoffman's eyebrows rose. Yes, non-invasive prenatal paternity testing. We draw blood from you, get DNA from the potential father, compare it to the fetal DNA in your bloodstream. How accurate is it? 99.9%, and completely safe for the baby. I want one, today, now. Dr. Hoffman looked at Jonathan. He nodded. Do it, whatever she needs. I'll set it up. We'll need a sample from your husband. He's not coming here, Cassie said quickly. Can you do it without him? Not legally. We need his consent or a court order. Cassie's heart sank. Of course, Derek would have to agree. And he'd use it as leverage, as proof she was crazy, paranoid, accusing him of not being the father while he was the victim of her delusions. Wait, Nina said. What if you tell him you want the paternity test? Make it seem like you're doubting yourself, that you need proof the baby is his, so you can move forward with the marriage. Jonathan caught on. Reverse psychology. Make him think you're considering reconciliation, that the test is the first step. He'll want the test, Brielle added. She'd stayed through the night, slept in the chair. If he thinks there's a chance the baby isn't his, he'll want proof for legal purposes to protect himself. It was manipulative, strategic, everything Derek would do, but maybe that's what it took. Fighting fire with fire. I'll text him, Cassie said. Set it up. She turned on her phone. The missed calls and messages had multiplied. 63 calls, 89 messages, all Derek. She didn't read them, just typed a new message. We need to talk. About the baby, about paternity. I need to be sure. She hit send. Turn the phone back off. They waited. 30 seconds. The phone buzzed. Text message. What are you saying? Another buzz. Are you claiming you cheated on me? And another? This is insane. The baby is mine. You know it is, Cassie typed back. Then prove it. Paternity test. Today. At the hospital. Then we can talk about what comes next. Long pause, then fine. I'll be there at 2. But this is crazy. You're crazy. There it was, the manipulation, the gaslighting. Even in crisis, Derek couldn't help himself. He'll be here at 2, Cassie said. Dr. Hoffman, can you set it up? I'll have everything ready. The test takes about 15 minutes, results in 3 business days. 3 days, 72 hours of not knowing, of wondering, of hope and dread mixing together. But it was worth it, worth knowing the truth, even if the truth complicated everything. Nina squeezed her hand. Whatever happens, we'll deal with it, together. Cassie nodded, but inside she was screaming. What had she done? What if the baby wasn't Derek's? What if she cheated? What if she was just as bad as him? No, she hadn't cheated. Almost wasn't the same as actually. Intent wasn't the same as action. But Derek would twist it, make it seem like she was the villain, the unfaithful wife, the liar. Maybe she was playing right into his hands, or maybe she was finally taking control of her own story. Only time would tell. 2 o'clock came too fast. Cassie sat in the hospital bed, changed into clean clothes, brushed her hair, put on makeup to cover the bruise, then wiped it off. Let the bruise show. Let Derek see what he'd done. Jonathan wanted to be there for the test. Linda Morrison too. Witnesses. Protection. But Cassie said no. This needed to look like reconciliation, like she was considering moneying back. Derek wouldn't cooperate if he felt ambushed. So she sat alone, waiting, heart racing, baby kicking, both of them nervous. The door opened. Derek walked in. He looked terrible, unshaven, dark circles under his eyes, rumpled clothes, like he hadn't slept. Good. He stopped when he saw her, saw the bruise on her face, his creation, his mark. Cassie, his voice cracked. Baby, I'm so sorry. I don't know what came over me. The stress, the baby, everything just... Stop. Cassie held up her hand. I'm not here for apologies. I'm here for the test. You really think you cheated on me? His tone shifted, accusatory. You really think this baby might not be mine? I don't know. The timeline is fuzzy. I need to be sure. The timeline isn't fuzzy. We had sex Valentine's Day weekend. You got pregnant. Simple. But we also had sex in early March, and late March, and maybe April. I don't remember exactly. The pregnancy brain makes everything blur together. Lie. She remembered exactly. Valentine's weekend was the last time for months, but Derek didn't need to know that. He ran his hand through his hair, frustrated. This is insane. You're grasping at straws, trying to find a way out. Then do the test. Prove she's yours. Then we can talk about the future. Dr. Hoffman knocked and entered. Professional, neutral. Mr. Mitchell, thank you for coming. This will be quick. Just a cheek swab and we're done. Derek submitted to the test, opened his mouth, let Dr. Hoffman swab the inside of his cheek. 3 swabs, sealed in tubes, labeled, official. Results in 3 business days, Dr. Hoffman said. We'll call you both. After she left, Derek sat in the visitor's chair, looked at Cassie, really looked. What happens if she's mine? I don't know. You don't know, Cassie, she's our daughter, our family. You can't just throw that away over one mistake. One mistake. Like hitting her was nothing. An accident. A blip. It wasn't one mistake, Cassie said quietly. It was 6 years of mistakes. 6 years of you controlling me, isolating me, making me feel crazy, making me feel small. You did. You tracked my phone, checked my messages, decided what I wore, where I went, who I saw. You made me quit my job, cut off my friends, stop talking to my father. That was your choice. I never forced you. You made it impossible to choose differently. That's the same thing. Derek leaned forward, elbows on his knees. I'm in therapy now, anger management. I'm working on myself, trying to be better. That's good, I'm glad, but it doesn't change what you did. So that's it? 6 years together and you're just done because of one fight? It wasn't a fight, Derek. You hit me in public while I'm pregnant. That's not a fight, that's assault. He flinched. Don't call it that. What should I call it? A mistake, a moment of weakness, something I'll regret for the rest of my life. But will you do it again? Cassie leaned forward, met his eyes. That's what I need to know. If I come back, will you do it again? When you're stressed? When I embarrass you? When the baby cries all night and you're exhausted? No, never, I swear. You swore to love and honor me, to cherish me, in front of God and everyone. How is that oath different from this one? Silence. Heavy, loaded. I want to believe you, Cassie said, and part of her did. Part of her wanted the fairy tale, wanted Derek to be the man she thought he was, wanted the marriage to work. But I can't, not yet, maybe not ever. So what do? We wait for the test results, then we decide. And if she's mine, then you're her father. You all have rights, visitation, involvement, but that doesn't mean I come back to you. You'd keep my daughter from me. I'd keep her safe from anyone who might hurt her, including you. Derek's face darkened. You can't do that. No court would let you. We'll see. He stood, paced, angry now, the mask slipping. You're making a mistake, Cassie, a huge mistake. You think your father is going to take care of you forever? You think you can survive without me? I survived before you. I'll survive after you. Will you? He leaned down, got in her face. You can't hold a job, can't make decisions, can't function without someone telling you what to do. That's not me talking. That's reality. Cassie's heart raced. The baby kicked frantically, but she kept her voice steady. Get out. What? Get out. This meeting is over. We're not done talking. Yes, we are. Leave now or I call security. Derek straightened, adjusted his shirt. The mask came back. Smooth, charming. Fine. I'll go, but think about what I said. Think about what you're throwing away. He left. The door closed. Cassie exhaled, shaking, adrenaline crash. She'd done it, faced him, set boundaries, didn't apologize, didn't back down. It felt good and terrifying because now Derek knew she wasn't coming back, knew she was serious, and cornered animals were the most dangerous. Jonathan came in immediately. He'd been waiting outside. You okay? I think so. You were amazing, strong, clear. I don't feel strong. I feel like I'm going to throw up. That's adrenaline. It'll pass. He sat beside her. The test is done. Now we wait. What if she's not his? Then we deal with that. But Cassie, the odds are overwhelming that Derek is the father. Don't borrow trouble. But if he's not, that changes everything. He'll claim I cheated. He'll use it against me. He'll stop. One thing at a time. First, we wait for results. Second, we protect you and the baby. Third, we plan next steps. In that order. Cassie nodded. Jonathan was right. She was catastrophizing, imagining worst-case scenarios, letting anxiety take over. The baby settled, stopped kicking so frantically, like she could feel her mother calming down. I have something to tell you, Cassie said. About Marcus. Nina's husband. Nothing happened, but something almost happened. And I feel guilty, like I'm just as bad as Derek. You're not. But I thought about it. I wanted to. For a moment. Doesn't that count? Thought crime isn't real. Actions are what matter. You didn't cheat. You pulled away. That's what matters. Derek wouldn't see it that way. Derek's perspective doesn't matter anymore. Only yours does. Cassie wanted to believe that, but years of Derek's voice in her head made it hard. His version of reality was so loud, so insistent. It drowned out her own thoughts. She'd have to work on that, learn to trust herself again, learn that her reality was valid, real, true. It would take time, maybe years, maybe forever. But she'd start today. Nina came back around dinner time, brought real food, not hospital food, Thai takeout, Cassie's favorite, pad Thai, spring rolls, tom yum soup. They ate together. Nina told stories about the last 4 years, her life without Cassie in it. She'd gotten promoted, bought a condo, taken up painting, lived. I'm sorry I wasn't there, Cassie said, for all of it. Don't, you're here now. That's what counts. They were sitting by the window, watching the city lights. When Nina said, I need to tell you something about Marcus, Cassie's stomach dropped. What about him? That day he came to fix your faucet. He told me about the almost kiss, about the moment. Nina, I swear nothing happened. I pulled away. I know. I believe you. Marcus told me the same thing. He felt terrible, guilty. He was lonely. I was working long hours. You were unhappy. It was a moment of weakness for both of you. You're not mad. I was, at first, but then I realized something. You didn't cheat. You had an opportunity, and you didn't take it. That's what matters. That's integrity. Derek wouldn't see it that way. Derek cheated on you for 6 months, with multiple women probably. He doesn't get an opinion on your almost indiscretion. Multiple women, Cassie hadn't thought about that, but Nina was probably right. Men like Derek didn't have one affair. They had patterns, histories. The test results will come back, Nina said, and the baby will be Derek's. Because of course she is. You know when you got pregnant, your gut knows. Don't let Derek make you doubt yourself. Cassie hoped Nina was right, hoped her gut was reliable, hoped she hadn't miscounted. 3 more days until results. 3 more days of uncertainty. She could survive 3 days. She'd survived 6 years, day 3 in the hospital. Cassie's blood pressure was stable. The baby was perfect. Dr. Hoffman wanted to keep her 1 more day, just to be sure. But really because everyone knew what waited outside. Derek, his threats, his manipulation, the life Cassie would have to rebuild from nothing. Jonathan spent the morning making calls to his lawyers, to real estate agents, to security companies. Building a fortress around his daughter, Cassie led him. She was tired, exhausted. Growing a human was hard. Escaping an abusive marriage was harder. Doing both at the same time felt impossible. Around noon, the head of security came to her room. Dr. Reed, we have a situation. Jonathan set down his coffee. What situation? Derek Mitchell is in the lobby with a lawyer. He's demanding to see his wife, threatening to sue the hospital for unlawful detainment. She's not detained. She's here voluntarily for medical observation. He claims you're manipulating her, alienating her from her husband while she's vulnerable. Jonathan's smile was cold. Let him sue. Discovery will be fascinating. But Cassie surprised everyone. I'll see him. Absolutely not, Jonathan said. He's going to keep escalating until I do. At least here, I'm safe. There are witnesses, security. She touched her belly, protective. I need to face him one more time. End this. Dr. Hoffman intervened. If you're sure, we can arrange a supervised meeting. Security present. Time limited. You can end it whenever you want. They set it up in a conference room, neutral territory. 2 security guards stationed outside, Linda Morrison inside. Jonathan insisted on being there too. Derek entered with his lawyer, Patricia Morgan, sharp-looking woman, expensive suit, cold eyes. Derek had cleaned up since yesterday, shaved, fresh suit, the charming mask back in place. But Cassie saw through it now, saw the calculation underneath. Baby. He reached for her. Cassie didn't take his hand. Sit down, Derek. He noticed the audience, the witnesses. His lawyer whispered something. He sat. I'm sorry, he started. Practiced, rehearsed. I don't know what came over me. The stress, the pregnancy, the business, everything just exploded. But I'm in therapy now, 3 times a week, anger management, individual counseling. I'm doing the work. That's good, I'm glad. So can we move past this? Can we talk about coming home? I'm not coming home. Derek's face flickered. Surprise, then annoyance, then calculation. You're not thinking clearly. You're hormonal. Influenced. We should talk when you're not surrounded by people telling you what to think. No one's telling me what to think. I'm thinking for myself. Maybe for the first time in 6 years. His lawyer spoke up. Mrs. Mitchell, my client is willing to do whatever it takes to save this marriage. Counseling, therapy, a postnuptial agreement, whatever makes you feel safe. What would make me feel safe is never being hit again. That's guaranteed, Patricia said smoothly. We can include language about abuse in the postnuptial, immediate financial penalties if there's another incident. Cassie almost laughed. So it's a financial transaction? Derek pays me if he hits me again? It's insurance, protection, incentive for him to maintain control. I don't want his money. I want him to stop, period. Derek leaned forward. I will stop, I swear. That day at the clinic was rock bottom. I saw what I'd become. It terrified me. I never want to be that person again. He sounded sincere, looked sincere. If Cassie didn't know better, she'd believe him. But she knew better now. Who's Amber? She asked. Derek's face went blank. What? Amber Wilson, the paralegal, the one you've been sleeping with for 6 months. Patricia touched his arm. Don't answer that. But Derek was already talking. I don't know what you're talking about. Someone's lying to you. Cassie pulled out her phone. Nina had sent copies of all the photos. She showed Derek, him and Amber, restaurant, hotel, car, kiss. His face went through a journey, shock, anger, then something worse, justification. Fine, his mask dropped. Yes, I've been seeing someone because you stopped being a wife. You got pregnant and suddenly I didn't exist. Everything was about the baby. You were tired, sick, unavailable. So you cheated. I sought comfort elsewhere. Can you blame me? The audacity stole her breath. Yes, I can absolutely blame you. You weren't there for me. What was I supposed to do? Not cheat, go to therapy, talk to me. Any of 1,000 things that aren't betraying your pregnant wife. Patricia whispered urgently. Derek waved her off. He was angry now, the real Derek emerging. You want to talk about betrayal? He leaned back. What about you? What about this paternity test? What about you admitting you might have cheated? I didn't cheat. I almost did. But I didn't. Almost is the same thing. It's really not. You thought about another man while you were married to me, while you were carrying my child. That's betrayal. Cassie wanted to scream. The double standard was breathtaking. He could actually cheat for months, but her thinking about it for one moment was the same thing. Let's talk about money, she said instead. About your debt, the $2 million you owe, the fact that you're not actually a millionaire, that you've been lying about our finances for years. Derek's face went white. Who told you that? Does it matter? Is it true? Long pause. Patricia whispered again, louder now. My business affairs are none of your concern, Derek said. I'm your wife. Everything is my concern. Not anymore. Oh. He stood, confident now, in control. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to drop this nonsense. Come home. We're going to have this baby and be a family. And in exchange, I won't pursue full custody based on your erratic, unstable behavior. Cassie laughed. Actually laughed. You hit me in public and I'm the unstable one? You accused me of not being the father of my own child. You've turned your back on your husband when he needs you most. You've let your father manipulate you. Any judge would find that suspicious. Patricia nodded. My client is willing to attend counseling, do whatever's needed, but he needs assurances that he'll have access to his child. He'll have supervised visitation, Jonathan said from the corner. After he proves he's safe, after he completes therapy, after he demonstrates consistent, non-abusive behavior. Derek turned on him. You don't get to decide that. You're not the father. No, but I'm Cassie's father, and I have resources you can't imagine. Lawyers, money, power. If you want a custody battle, I'll bury you. The two men stared at each other. Alpha versus alpha. Derek saw something in Jonathan's eyes, something cold, absolute. He realized he'd miscalculated. Fine, Derek said. We'll do this the hard way. I'll see you in court. He left, stormed out. Patricia followed, already on her phone, planning strategy, building her case. Cassie sat back, shaking. Did I just make everything worse? No, Jonathan said. You just took control of the narrative. Now he's playing your game. But Cassie didn't feel in control. She felt terrified. Derek was going to fight, really fight. He'd drag her through court, make her look crazy, use the paternity test against her. She'd given him ammunition. Maybe that was a mistake. The baby kicked, hard, insistent, like she was saying, fight back, don't give up. We're stronger than him. Cassie pressed her palm to her belly. Okay, she whispered. Okay, we'll fight. They'd have to, because men like Derek didn't go quietly. They burned everything down first. That afternoon, Cassie was discharged. Dr. Hoffman signed the release papers. You're healthy, baby's healthy, but I want you to take it easy. No stress, plenty of rest. And if anything feels wrong, you call me immediately. I will. Thank you for everything. You're brave, Dr. Hoffman said. What you're doing, leaving, starting over. That takes courage. I don't feel brave. I feel terrified. Brave people are always terrified. They just do it anyway. Cassie packed her things. Not much. Hospital gowns, toiletries, the clothes she came in wearing. Her whole life fit in a small bag. That thought was depressing and also freeing. She could start over, build something new, become someone new, if she survived. Jonathan drove her to his penthouse, Upper East Side, 68th floor. The elevator opened directly into his apartment. Security, privacy, safety. The penthouse was beautiful. Floor-to-ceiling windows, modern furniture, art on the walls. Her childhood home before Derek convinced her it was a prison. Your room is ready, Jonathan said. I didn't change anything. It's exactly as you left it. They walked down the hallway, past his bedroom, past the guest rooms, to the corner suite at the end. He opened the door. Cassie stepped inside and started crying. Everything was the same. Her bed, her desk, her books, photos on the wall, awards from high school, college acceptance letters framed, her mother's jewelry box on the dresser. You kept it all, she whispered. I kept hoping you'd come back. Cassie turned, hugged her father, really hugged him, for the first time in 6 years. Thank you for not giving up on me. Never, not ever. She explored the room, touched everything, reacquainting herself with the person she used to be. Before Derek, before the marriage, before she lost herself. That girl seemed so young, so naive, so certain she knew everything. If Cassie could talk to her past self, what would she say? Run when you meet Derek Mitchell, run the other direction. Don't look back. But she couldn't change the past. She could only move forward. The doorbell rang. Jonathan went to answer, came back with Nina and Brielle. They carried shopping bags, clothes, toiletries, everything Cassie would need. We got you a new wardrobe, Nina announced. Maternity clothes, postpartum clothes, baby clothes, all of it. Everything you had at Derek's house is contaminated. You need fresh starts. It was such a small thing, but it broke Cassie open. She started crying again. You didn't have to do this. Yes, we did. You're starting a new life. You need new things. They unpacked everything, hung clothes in the closet, filled drawers, set up a changing table in the corner, a bassinet next to the bed, making space for Elena. Brielle's phone buzzed. She looked at it. Her face went pale. What? Cassie asked. It's Trevor, Derek's business partner. She read aloud. Derek is planning to file an emergency custody petition, claiming you're mentally unstable, that you've been manipulated by your father, that you're a danger to the baby. He can't do that before she's born. He's going to try. His lawyer is arguing that if you're a danger to yourself, you're a danger to an unborn child. They're requesting a psych evaluation, supervised delivery, immediate custody upon birth. Cassie couldn't breathe. Her vision tunneled. The room spun. Jonathan caught her, guided her to sit on the bed. Breathe, slow, in for 4, out for 4. She tried, in for 4, out for 4, the rhythm her mother taught her during panic attacks. It helped, slowly. Her vision cleared. Her breathing steadied. Can he do that? She asked. Legally? He can try, Jonathan said. Won't succeed, but he can try, and that's his strategy. Bury you in legal motions, drain your resources, make you too exhausted to fight. But you said you have resources. I do. Unlimited resources. He can file 1,000 motions. We'll answer every one. Brielle kept reading. Trevor says Derek's been collecting evidence, recording your conversations without your knowledge, taking screenshots of texts where you sound upset or emotional, building a case that you're hormonally unstable and irrational. That's abuse, Linda Morrison said from the doorway. She'd followed them home, making sure Cassie was settled. Gathering evidence to use against someone while gaslighting them is psychological abuse. Trevor agrees, Brielle said. That's why he's telling us. He's willing to testify about Derek's instability, his financial crimes, his harassment of female employees, all of it. Why, Cassie asked. Why is Trevor betraying his partner? Brielle hesitated. Because Derek hit on Trevor's wife 6 months ago at a company party, cornered her in a hallway, kissed her without consent. She reported it to Trevor. He's been looking for a way out ever since. The revelations kept coming, layered, each worse than the last. Who was Derek Mitchell really? And how had Cassie been married to him for 6 years without seeing any of this? But she knew the answer, because Derek showed her exactly what he wanted her to see. The facade, the mask, the version designed to fool her. And it worked, until it didn't. They spent the evening organizing, making plans. Jonathan's lawyer, Rebecca Hart, came over, reviewed everything, started building their case. This is good, Rebecca said. We have witnesses, documentation, evidence of abuse, infidelity, financial fraud. No judge will give him custody. But he could get visitation, Cassie said. Supervised visitation. Maybe, after he proves stability, after therapy, after anger management. It's a process, could take months, maybe years. But eventually he'll have access to her. He's her father. Unless we can prove he's an actual danger, he'll have rights. That's just reality. Cassie hated that reality, hated that Derek got to be a father, that he'd have any part of Elena's life, that her daughter would grow up knowing a man like that existed, claimed her, had rights to her. But that was the cost of the truth. Derek was the father. The paternity test would prove it. Then they'd have to deal with that. They ordered dinner, Chinese takeout, Cassie's favorite. She ate in her room, sitting by the window, watching the city below. So many lives, so many stories. What would Elena's story be? Would she remember any of this? Would she grow up damaged, or would she grow up strong? A survivor like her mother, Cassie touched her belly. Felt Elena kick, strong, insistent, full of life. We're going to be okay, she whispered. I don't know how yet, but we're going to be okay. The baby kicked again, like agreement, like belief. Cassie hoped she was right. Morning came too fast. Cassie barely slept. The baby kicked all night, sensing anxiety, responding to stress. 9 a.m. Dr. Hoffman called. Cassie, I have the results. Cassie was in the kitchen. Jonathan was making breakfast. Pancakes. Elena's recipe. The smell made Cassie nauseous. Or maybe that was nerves. Tell me. The baby is Derek's. 99.9% certainty. Cassie didn't know if she was relieved or disappointed. Both, neither. Everything hurt. Okay, she managed. Thank you. I'm sending the official report to your email. Call if you need anything. They hung up. Cassie stared at her phone. Well, Jonathan asked gently. She's Derek's. He moved to her, pulled her into a hug. I'm sorry, I know part of you hoped she wasn't. Part of me did. Is that terrible? It's human. Cassie felt numb. For 3 days she'd existed in uncertainty, in possibility, in the maybe that would change everything. Now the maybe was gone. Derek was the father. He had rights, claims, legal standing. They couldn't just cut him out, couldn't just disappear, couldn't just start over. He'd be part of Elena's life forever. He'll use this, Cassie said. He'll demand custody, visitation. He'll make my life hell. Then we fight. We document everything, build an airtight case, show any judge what he really is. Cassie's phone rang. Derek, of course, Dr. Hoffman must have called him too. She let it ring. Once, twice, 7 times. Finally answered. What? I know. His voice was triumphant. I know she's mine. The doctor called me too. So? So now we negotiate. You come home. We do counseling. We try to make this work. And I won't pursue full custody. No. Silence. Confused silence. What? I said no, I'm not coming home. I'm not pretending. I'm not raising my daughter in a house where her father hits her mother. I hit you once. And I apologized. You haven't apologized. You've made excuses. There's a difference. Cassie, don't do this. Don't throw away our family over one mistake. You threw it away when you cheated, when you controlled me, when you struck me in public. Her voice was steady now, strong. I'm done out. You'll regret this. The only thing I regret is not leaving sooner. She hung up. Her hands were shaking, but she'd done it. Said no. Chose herself. For the first time in 6 years. Jonathan smiled. I'm proud of you. Don't be proud yet. He's going to retaliate. Let him. We're ready. They weren't ready. Nobody was ready for what Derek did next. 10 minutes later, Trevor called Brielle. Emergency. Derek was on his way to the penthouse. He'd been drinking. Since the night before. He wasn't thinking straight. He's talking about his rights as a father, that no one keeps his child from him, that he'll do whatever it takes. Jonathan was already moving. Called building security. No one named Derek Mitchell gets through. No one. But Derek knew the building. He'd visited during the courtship, knew the service entrance, knew the security shifts, knew how to slip through. 40 minutes later, the doorbell rang. Everyone froze. Jonathan checked the security camera. Derek was there, in the hallway, alone, disheveled, dangerous. I'm calling the police, Jonathan said. But Derek started yelling, pounding on the door. Cassie, I know you're in there. That's my baby. You can't keep her from me. Cassie stood. Something in her snapped. I'll talk to him. Absolutely not, Jonathan said. He won't leave until I do. He'll make a scene, get arrested, make himself the victim. I need to face him, end this. Not alone, Nina said. We all go, witnesses. They opened the door. Derek stumbled in. He reeked of whiskey. His eyes were red, wild, broken. You can't do this, he said, voice cracking. She's my daughter. And you hit her mother, Cassie said. What kind of father does that? A human one, a flawed one. I made a mistake. You had an affair. You controlled me. You gaslit me. You hit me. That's not a mistake. That's a pattern. I can change, maybe, but not fast enough. Not before she's born. Cassie touched her belly, protective, fierce. I won't let her grow up watching you hurt me. Learning that love looks like control, I won't repeat the cycle. Derek's face crumpled. For a moment, Cassie saw something real. Grief, loss, maybe even love. But then it hardened again. The mask, the rage. You'll pay for this. I'll make sure you get nothing in the divorce. You'll spend everything on lawyers. I'll drag this out for years. Make your life a living hell. Do it, Jonathan said. I have more money than you'll ever see, and I'll spend every penny to protect my daughter and my grandchild. Derek laughed, bitter, broken. Of course, Daddy's money solves everything. No, Cassie said. Daddy's love solves everything. That's what you never understood. Love isn't control, it's not possession. It's letting someone be free and choosing to stay anyway. The words hit home. Derek saw he'd lost. Truly lost. His face went blank. Empty. I'll see you in court, he said finally. I'll be there. He left. Security escorted him to the elevator, made sure he got in, made sure he left the building. Cassie sank onto the couch. Adrenaline crash. The baby kicked frantically. Cassie pressed both hands to her belly. Shh, we're okay. We're safe. But then the contractions started. Small at first, irregular, stress-induced, then stronger, regular. 5 minutes apart. Jonathan, Cassie gasped, something's wrong. He was at her side immediately, checking her pulse, her breathing. How far apart? 5 minutes, maybe less. We're going to the hospital. Now. They moved fast, got Cassie to the car. Jonathan drove. Nina sat in the back, held Cassie's hand, counted breaths. The contractions got stronger, closer, 3 minutes apart. At the hospital, Dr. Hoffman met them in the ER, examined Cassie quickly. Her face was serious. The baby's in distress, heart rate dropping. We need to do an emergency C-section. Now? Cassie's voice shook. But it's too early. I'm only 8 months. The baby's safer outside than inside right now. We need to go. Now. Everything happened fast after that. Cassie was wheeled to the OR. Jonathan scrubbed in. He was a surgeon. They'd let him assist. Cassie lay on the table, terrified. I'm scared. I know, Jonathan said. Took her hand. But you're not alone. I'm right here. Hoffman worked quickly. The surgery began. Cassie stared at the ceiling, tried to focus on anything but the pulling sensation. Almost there, Dr. Hoffman said. And then, a cry. Small, angry, live. It's a girl, Dr. Hoffman announced. Elena Rose. Finally here. Finally real. They placed her on Cassie's chest. Tiny, red, perfect. She stopped crying, stared at her mother with unfocused eyes, recognizing the voice, the heartbeat. Home. Hi, Cassie whispered. Hi, sweetheart. I'm your mom. I've been waiting to meet you. Elena made a small sound, not quite a cry, not quite a coo, just acknowledgement. Jonathan was crying, didn't try to hide it. She's perfect. She's ours, Cassie said, not Derek's. Ours. And in that moment, she knew. Whatever came next, court battles, custody fights, Derek's rage, they'd survive it. Because Elena was here, real, alive, worth fighting for. And Cassie would fight. With everything she had, she'd be the mother Elena deserved. The mother she wished she'd had. The mother who breaks cycles. Recovery was hard. C-sections weren't easy. Cassie's body ached. Her incision burned. Getting out of bed required help. But Elena made it worth it. She was tiny, only 5 pounds 6 ounces. Early but healthy, strong lungs, good reflexes. She'd have to stay in the hospital for observation. But Dr. Hoffman was optimistic. She's a fighter, the doctor said, just like her mom. Cassie spent hours just staring at her daughter, counting fingers and toes, marveling at tiny eyelashes, perfect lips, the way she yawned, the way she stretched. This was a whole person, with thoughts and feelings and dreams, with a future stretching ahead. Infinite possibility. And Cassie was responsible for protecting it all. The weight of that was crushing and beautiful and terrifying. Jonathan was a natural grandfather. He held Elena with practiced ease, rocked her, sang to her old lullabies. The same ones he sang to Cassie as a child. Late at night, Cassie woke to find him standing by Elena's bassinet, just watching her sleep, tears streaming down his face. Dad? She whispered. He wiped his eyes. Sorry, didn't mean to wake you. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Everything's right. I just, I miss this with you. The newborn phase, I was working so much. Trying to build the practice, your mother did most of it alone. You were there for the important parts. But I missed so much, and then you grew up, and then you left. And I thought I'd never have this again. A baby in my life, family. You have it now. I know, and I'm not going to miss a second of it this time. He sat beside the bed. They watched Elena together, her tiny chest rising and falling, the miracle of breath, of life. What happens when Derek finds out she's born? Cassie asked. We tell him through lawyers, set up supervised visitation through the court, do everything legally, by the book. He'll be angry. He's always angry. That's his problem, not yours. But it would become Cassie's problem. Derek's anger had consequences, always had. She learned to manage it, anticipate it, avoid triggering it. Now she had to learn to stop caring about it, to let him be angry, to let him have his feelings without making them her responsibility. That would be hard. Years of conditioning didn't disappear overnight. Nina visited every day, brought coffee, food, magazines, sat with Cassie while she nursed, just being present, being there. You're doing amazing, Nina said one afternoon. I don't feel amazing. I feel like I'm drowning. That's new motherhood. Everyone feels that way. You're just doing it with extra complications. That's one way to put it. Have you heard from Derek? His lawyer sent a letter, demanding visitation, threatening to sue for emergency custody. Standard stuff. What did Rebecca say? That we'll deal with it, that we have time. That Derek has to prove he's stable before any judge gives him access. How long will that take? Months, maybe years? Depends on how much he's willing to work on himself. Cassie secretly hoped it would take years. Hoped Derek would give up. Disappear. Decide being a father was too hard. But she knew him better than that. Derek didn't give up. He punished. He retaliated. He made sure everyone paid for crossing him. This was just the beginning. The hospital wanted to keep Cassie for 5 days, monitor her recovery, make sure Elena was thriving. On day 4, they got unexpected visitors. Brielle arrived with a man Cassie didn't recognize. 30-ish, nice face, nervous energy. This is Trevor Walsh, Brielle introduced. Derek's former business partner. Former, Trevor sat. I dissolved the partnership, filed paperwork 3 days ago. I couldn't be associated with Derek anymore, legally or morally. I'm sorry, that must have been hard. It was necessary. And I wanted to meet you. Tell you in person that I'll testify about everything, the financial fraud, the harassment, the affairs, all of it. Why, Mike? Cassie asked. Why risk your career, your reputation? Because I have a daughter too. She's 6, and I can't look her in the eye and tell her to stand up to bullies if I don't do it myself. The sincerity in his voice was real. Cassie felt tears building. Thank you. That means everything. I also brought something. Trevor handed her a flash drive. Financial records, every shady deal, every hidden account, every dollar Derek embezzled or hid from you. Your lawyer will want this. Cassie took it. This is enough to destroy him. It's enough to expose him. What happens after is up to the courts and to you. After they left, Cassie held the flash drive. This small piece of technology held Derek's downfall, his secrets, his crimes. Part of her wanted to use it, wanted to destroy him the way he tried to destroy her. But another part just wanted peace, wanted to move forward, wanted to never think about Derek Mitchell again. She didn't know which part would win. On day 5, they went home, Jonathan's penthouse. The nursery was ready, soft colors, modern furniture, everything a baby could need. Elena slept in the bassinet next to Cassie's bed, close enough to hear her breathe, close enough to respond to every cry. The first night home was hard. Elena woke every 2 hours, crying, hungry, needing. Cassie was exhausted, overwhelmed, her body hurt, her emotions were raw. Jonathan helped, brought bottles, changed diapers, let Cassie sleep between feedings. You're not alone, he kept saying. You don't have to do this alone. But Cassie felt alone in a way that had nothing to do with help. She was the mother, the primary parent, the one responsible for keeping this tiny human alive. That weight was hers alone. By week 2, they'd found a rhythm. Elena ate every 3 hours, slept in between. Cassie napped when the baby napped, showered when Jonathan took over, slowly recovered. Her body healed, her incision closed, her energy returned, little by little. Derek's lawyer kept sending letters, demands, threats. Rebecca answered every one. Professional, firm, building their case. "We're ready for court," Rebecca said at week 3. "Whenever they file." "What's the best case scenario?" Cassie asked. Derek gets supervised visitation. 2 hours a week at a facility with professionals present after he completes therapy and anger management, after he proves stability. In worst case, he gets unsupervised visits, maybe overnight eventually, but that would take months of proving himself, and will fight every step. So this could take years? Yes, and it probably will. Custody cases drag on, especially contentious ones. Years, years of Derek in her life, years of court dates and legal battles, years of looking over her shoulder, waiting for him to retaliate. But she'd survive 6 years with him. She could survive 6 years without him. She was stronger now. Elena kicked her legs, looked up at her mother with huge dark eyes. So much trust in that gaze, so much faith. Cassie wouldn't let her down. Whatever it took, however long it took, she'd keep her daughter safe. 3 weeks postpartum, Elena was thriving, gaining weight, sleeping better, starting to focus her eyes, recognize faces. Cassie was healing, physically and emotionally. Therapy helped. Linda Morrison recommended someone who specialized in domestic abuse survivors. Dr. Sarah Wells, kind but firm. She didn't let Cassie make excuses or minimize what happened. "Abuse is abuse," Dr. Wells said in their first session. "It doesn't matter if it only happened once. It doesn't matter if he's in therapy. What matters is you're safe now, and your daughter is safe. That's the priority." Derek filed for custody on week 4. His lawyer submitted a petition requesting 50-50 split custody, joint legal and physical custody. His argument? He was the father. He had rights. Cassie was keeping his daughter from him without cause. Rebecca countered with evidence. Photos of Cassie's bruised face, witness statements from the clinic, security footage, medical records documenting the assault, plus the affair, the financial fraud, Trevor's testimony, everything. The judge scheduled a hearing, family court, 6 weeks out, November 20th. Elena would be 2 months old. "What happens at the hearing?" Cassie asked Rebecca. "Both sides present evidence. Witnesses testify. The judge makes a preliminary ruling, either dismisses Derek's petition or sets up a graduated visitation schedule." "What do you think will happen?" "I think we'll win. The evidence is overwhelming, but judges are unpredictable, especially in family court. They want fathers involved when possible. Even abusive fathers? They'll claim Derek isn't abusive. One incident, high stress, he's getting help. They'll paint it as a mistake, not a pattern. But it is a pattern. We'll prove that, with Trevor's testimony, with the previous relationships, with everything. The weeks leading up to the hearing were stressful. Cassie couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't stop imagining worst-case scenarios. What if the judge gave Derek custody? What if Elena had to spend nights with him? What if he hurted her? "He won't," Jonathan kept saying. "We won't let him get that far." "But you can't guarantee that." "No, I can't, but I can guarantee we'll fight with everything we have." Derek didn't try to see Elena before the hearing. His lawyer advised against it, said it would look like stalking, harassment, better to wait for the court order. But he sent gifts, flowers, cards, baby clothes, all returned unopened. He sent letters to Cassie, apologizing, begging, threatening, all documented for the case. He called from different numbers, left voicemails, some apologetic, some angry, all showing his instability. Rebecca collected everything, built a timeline, showed the escalation, the manipulation, the control. "This is good for us," she said. "Every time he contacts you, he's making our case stronger." The hearing arrived, November 20th, cold, gray, raining. Cassie dressed Elena in a simple white onesie. No frills, no statement, just a baby. They arrived at the courthouse, family court, fourth floor. The hallways were crowded. Other families, other battles, so much pain in one building. Derek was already there, cleaned up, sober-looking, repentant mask in place. His lawyer Patricia stood beside him. Expensive suit, confident posture. They didn't speak, didn't acknowledge each other, just waited for their case to be called. "Mitchell versus Reed," the bailiff announced. They filed into the courtroom. Judge Diane Morrison presiding. A woman in her 60s, reading glasses, kind face but firm expression. She reviewed the files, listened as both lawyers made opening statements. Patricia painted Derek as a devoted father, a man who made one mistake in a high-stress moment, a man committed to therapy, to change, to being the father Elena deserves. Rebecca countered with facts. The assault, the witnesses, the affair, the financial crimes, the pattern of behavior across multiple relationships. Judge Morrison's expression didn't change. She just listened, made notes. Then came witness testimony. Grace Patterson from the clinic. She described what she saw. Derek hitting Cassie, the sound, the force, the bruise that formed immediately. Dr. Hoffman testified next, described Cassie's injuries, her elevated blood pressure, the signs of chronic stress, the pattern consistent with long-term abuse. Trevor took the stand, described Derek's behavior at work, the financial crimes, the harassment, the instability. Through it all, Derek sat stone-faced, emotionless, like he was watching someone else's trial. Then Cassie testified. Rebecca asked her to describe the marriage, the control, the isolation, the fear. "He tracked my location," Cassie said, voice steady despite her shaking hands. "Checked my phone, decided what I wore, where I went, who I saw. He made me quit my job, stop seeing my friends, cut off my father." "Did you want to do those things?" "I thought I did. He made it seem like my idea, like I was choosing our relationship over those things. But looking back, I see it was manipulation, control." "Did you ever feel afraid of your husband?" "Every day. I walked on eggshells, tracked his moods, tried to anticipate what would make him angry, tried to prevent explosions." "And the day at the clinic?" Cassie touched her cheek. The bruise was long gone, but the memory wasn't. "I dropped my purse, got on the floor to pick it up. My belly made it hard. I was awkward, slow. He was embarrassed, so he hit me." "In public?" "In front of 12 witnesses, with cameras recording." "If he'd do that in public, what would he do in private?" Patricia objected. "Speculation." "Sustained," Judge Morrison said. "Stick to facts, Ms. Hart." "I'll rephrase. Mrs. Mitchell, after the assault, did you feel safe returning home with your husband?" "No, I was terrified." "Why, Dictum?" "Because men like Derek escalate. This was the first time he hit me with his hand, but he'd been violent before, throwing things, punching walls, getting in my face, yelling. I knew it was only a matter of time before he hurt me, or worse, hurt the baby." "Objection," Patricia said. "The defendant has never hurt the child." "Because she's been protected from him," Rebecca shot back. "That's the whole point." Judge Morrison held up her hand. "I'll allow it. Continue, Ms. Hart." "Mrs. Mitchell, do you believe your husband should have custody of your daughter?" Cassie looked at Derek. Really looked. Saw nothing in his eyes, just calculation. Performance. "I believe every child deserves a father," she said carefully. "I believe Elena deserves to know her father, but only if he's safe, only if he's healthy, only if he does the real work required to be the parent she needs." "And has he done that work?" "I don't know. He's in therapy, but therapy takes time. Months, years. You don't undo patterns overnight. And I won't risk my daughter's safety to find out if his therapy is working." Derek's lawyer called him to the stand next. He cried, real tears. or very good fake tears. I love my daughter, he said, voice breaking. I made mistakes, terrible mistakes, but I'm trying to be better. I go to therapy 3 times a week, anger management twice a week. I'm sober. I'm working on myself. Please don't take my child from me. It was compelling. Even Cassie felt it. The manipulation, the performance. If she didn't know him, she'd believe it. But she knew him. Knew the mask, knew what was underneath. Judge Morrison asked him questions. Mr. Mitchell, why did you strike your wife? I don't know. I was stressed, overwhelmed. She embarrassed me. I reacted poorly. Reacted poorly? You assaulted a pregnant woman. I know. I'm ashamed. I'll never forgive myself. Have you ever been violent before? Derek hesitated. I've thrown things, punched walls, but I've never hit a woman before. What about your previous relationships? What about them? We have testimony that your previous girlfriend filed a restraining order against you. Derek's face flickered. That was a misunderstanding. She was vindictive. And before that, another girlfriend left after 6 months? Relationships end. That's normal. Judge Morrison made notes. Mr. Mitchell, if I grant you visitation, what assurances do I have that you won't be violent toward your daughter? I'd never hurt my child, never. This is about me and my wife, not about Elena. But Elena's mother is a part of her life. If you're violent toward her mother, you're traumatizing your child. I'm in therapy. I'm learning to manage my anger, to communicate better. I won't make the same mistakes. Judge Morrison leaned back. What about the affair, the infidelity during your wife's pregnancy? Derek shifted. That was wrong. I made a mistake, but it's not relevant to my ability to parent. It shows character, judgment, impulse control, all relevant to parenting. I'm not proud of it, but I'm human. I made errors. That doesn't make me a bad father. We'll see. Judge Morrison closed the file. I've heard enough for today. I'll review the evidence and issue a ruling within 2 weeks. 2 weeks, 14 more days of uncertainty, waiting, wondering. They filed out of the courtroom. Derek tried to approach Cassie. Security blocked him. Please, he said, just let me see her. My daughter, just once. Cassie held Elena closer. No, she's my child too. Then prove you're safe. Do the work. Wait for the judge's ruling. His face hardened. You're going to regret this. I promise you that. Jonathan stepped between them. That sounded like a threat. Security, did you hear that? The guard nodded. I heard it. Derek backed off. It wasn't a threat. It's a promise, legal. Through the courts, I'll make sure justice is served. They left, got in the car, drove home. Cassie was shaking, exhausted. Elena had slept through the whole thing, peaceful, unaware her future was being decided. What do you think the judge will decide? Cassie asked. Supervised visitation, Rebecca said. No way she gives him more than that, not with this evidence. But she could. She could, but she won't, trust me. I've been doing this 30 years. I know Judge Morrison. She's fair, thorough. She'll protect Elena. Cassie wanted to believe her, but 6 years with Derek taught her that men like him always found a way, always got what they wanted, always won in the end, unless you fought hard enough to stop them. 2 weeks passed, slow, agonizing. Cassie checked her phone constantly, waiting for the call, the email, the ruling. It came on December 4th. Rebecca called. We won. Cassie's legs gave out. She sat down hard. What? Judge Morrison ruled in our favor. Derek gets supervised visitation, 2 hours per week at a facility with trained supervisors after he completes 6 months of continued therapy and anger management. 6 months? At least, and then we'll revisit. If he's proven stability, maybe we increase. Slowly, carefully. And custody? You have primary physical and legal custody. Derek has no say in medical, educational, or religious decisions. He pays child support. Substantial child support based on his claimed income. But he's broke. That's his problem. He claimed millionaire status in court. We're holding him to it. Cassie started laughing, then crying. Relief flooding through her throat. We actually won. You won. You stood up. You fought. You protected your daughter. Elena was in her bouncy seat, looking up at Christmas lights Jonathan had hung, tracking the colors, fascinated by everything. She had no idea. No idea how close she'd come to spending nights away from her mother, how close to being handed to a man who wasn't safe. But Cassie knew, and she'd never forget. That evening they celebrated, quietly. Nina came over. Brielle, Trevor and his wife, Linda Morrison, Dr. Wells, everyone who'd helped, everyone who'd stood by her. To Cassie, Jonathan toasted, the strongest person I know. To Elena, Cassie countered, who gave me a reason to be strong. They drank, sparkling cider. Cassie couldn't have alcohol while nursing, but it didn't matter. She felt drunk on relief, on victory, on the future stretching ahead. Derek's lawyer sent a notice of appeal. Of course, he wouldn't accept losing, would fight every step. But Rebecca was ready. Let him appeal. He'll lose again and again, until he runs out of money or energy, whichever comes first. Cassie hoped it was soon. Hoped Derek would just give up, walk away, let them live in peace. But she knew better. Men like Derek never gave up. They just changed tactics. Still, she'd won this round. That was enough. For now. 6 months passed. Elena grew. Changed. Went from tiny newborn to chubby baby. She smiled now. Laughed. Reached for things. Recognized faces. She knew her mother, her grandfather. Nina. The apartment. Her routine. Her world was small but safe. Derek completed his therapy requirements. 6 months, 3 times a week. Individual counseling, anger management, substance abuse treatment, all documented, all verified. His therapist submitted reports, claimed Derek had done the work, addressed his narcissistic tendencies, learned emotional regulation, processed childhood trauma. Trevor reported Derek was different, calmer, more self-aware, actually listening to people instead of just performing. I'm not saying he's cured, Trevor told Cassie, but he's not the same man. Something changed. The 6-month review hearing was scheduled. May 15th, Elena would be 7 months old. Cassie was terrified. What if the judge increased custody? What if Elena had to spend time alone with Derek? What if he reverted? We'll start slow, Rebecca assured her, 1 hour unsupervised, in a public place, then we monitor. See how it goes. Public place, park, museum, restaurant, somewhere with witnesses, somewhere Elena could be safe. The hearing came, same courthouse, same judge, but different energy. Derek looked different, thinner, grayer, humbler, like something in him had broken. Or maybe healed, hard to tell. His therapist testified first. Dr. Richard Palmer, 50s, experienced, respected. Mr. Mitchell has done remarkable work, Dr. Palmer said. He's identified his triggers, developed coping strategies, learned to take responsibility instead of blame others. He's not the same man who entered my office 6 months ago. Do you believe he's safe to be around his daughter? Judge Morrison asked. I believe he's made significant progress, but therapy is ongoing. Recovery isn't linear. He'll need continued support, continued accountability. The supervised visitation supervisor testified next. Mariah Rodriguez. She'd been present for Derek's 2-hour weekly visits with Elena. Mr. Mitchell has been appropriate with the child, she said. Patient, gentle. He shows up on time, engages appropriately, reads to her, plays with her. I've seen no concerning behaviors. Has the child bonded with him? Hard to say at 7 months, but she doesn't cry when he holds her. She seems comfortable. That's a good sign. Cassie wanted to object. Elena didn't cry because she was too young to understand danger, because Derek was good at performing, because 2 hours a week wasn't enough to show his true nature. But she stayed quiet. Let Rebecca handle it. Trevor testified again. Described Derek's changes at work, his apologies to people he'd hurt, his attempts to make amends. He's actually become self-aware, Trevor said. It's uncomfortable to watch sometimes, like he's seeing himself clearly for the first time. Then it was Cassie's turn. Judge Morrison looked at her. Ms. Reed, what do you think? Should your daughter's father have increased custody? The question felt impossible. What did she think? She thought Derek was dangerous, that abusers don't change, that the therapy was performance, that he'd hurt Elena eventually. But she also thought about Elena, about her right to have a father, about the possibility, however slim, that Derek really had changed. I think people can change, Cassie said slowly. I've changed. This experience changed me. Maybe it changed him too. But I need to protect my daughter, so I'd like graduated visitation, 1 hour unsupervised, in public places, parks, museums, places with witnesses. And if those go well, we increase, slowly, with her safety as the priority. Judge Morrison nodded. Ms. Mitchell, do you agree to these terms? Derek stood. I'll take whatever you'll give me. I just want to know my daughter. I want to be the father she deserves, not the man I was. The sincerity in his voice was unnerving. Either he'd become a very good actor or he really had changed. Cassie couldn't tell which. Maybe both. Judge Morrison granted the request. 1 hour unsupervised visitation, public places, weekly, check-ins after each visit, review in 3 months. Derek's face showed relief, gratitude, but also something else, determination. Like he knew this was just the beginning, like he had plans. Cassie's stomach nodded. What had she just agreed to? The first unsupervised visit was scheduled for the following Saturday. Central Park, the playground near Bethesda Fountain. Noon. 1 hour. Cassie would be there, 50 yards away, watching, ready to intervene if needed. Saturday came too fast. She dressed Elena in comfortable clothes, pink romper, little shoes, sun hat, prepared the diaper bag, bottles, wipes, everything Derek might need. Everything a father should know to bring himself, but didn't. They arrived at the park. Derek was already there, sitting on a bench, hands clasped, nervous. He stood when he saw them. Cassie, Elena, hi. Elena looked at him, recognized him from the supervised visits. Didn't cry, didn't reach for him either, just observed. 1 hour, Cassie said. I'll be over there. She pointed to a bench across the playground. You can see me. I can see you. Okay, thank you for this chance. She handed Elena over. Her daughter looked back at her, uncertain, but not scared. Cassie walked to her bench, sat, watched. Nina sat beside her. Backup, support. Derek carried Elena to the swings. The baby swing strapped her in carefully, pushed gently. Elena's face lit up. She laughed. That belly laugh babies do. Pure joy. Derek smiled, real smile. Not the charming mask, just a father enjoying his daughter's happiness. He looks different, Nina observed. I know. Do you think it's real? I don't know. Part of me wants it to be, for Elena's sake. Every child deserves a father who's healthy. And what about you? What about me? Do you want him to have changed, for your sake? Cassie thought about it. Did she? Did she want Derek to be the man he pretended to be in the beginning? The charming, attentive, loving man who made her feel special? No, she said finally. I don't want him back. I don't love him anymore. I don't even like him. But I want him to be safe, for Elena. I want her to have a father she can trust. That's fair. The hour passed. Derek brought Elena back. She was content, fed, clean diaper, happy. Thank you, he said. She's amazing. You're doing an amazing job with her. We're doing an amazing job. Jonathan and Nina and everyone. Right, of course, he hesitated. Can I ask you something? What? Do you think you'll ever forgive me for what I did, what I put you through? The question caught her off guard. Forgiveness. She hadn't thought about it, hadn't decided if it was even possible. I don't know, she said honestly. Maybe someday, but not today, not yet. That's fair. I don't forgive myself either. He left, walked away. Elena watched him go, made a small sound, not upset, just noting. What do you think? Nina asked. I think he's trying. Whether it's real or performance, I don't know, but he's trying. That's something. The visits continued every Saturday, 1 hour, different parks, different museums, the zoo, the aquarium, public places, safe places. Derek was consistent, appropriate, engaged. Elena warmed to him, started reaching for him, smiling when she saw him. Cassie's heart hurt watching it. Her daughter bonding with the man who had hurt her mother. But Elena didn't know that, couldn't know. She just saw a father who showed up, who was gentle, who played with her. Maybe that was enough. 3 months later, another review hearing, Judge Morrison was pleased. Mr. Mitchell has exceeded expectations. I'm comfortable increasing visitation, 2 hours, then 4, eventually overnight, but slowly, with continued monitoring. Cassie agreed. What choice did she have? Derek had done everything required, proven himself, at least on the surface. A year after the original custody ruling, Elena was walking, talking, saying Dada and Papa with equal enthusiasm. Derek was Dada. Jonathan was Papa. Derek's visits had increased to full days, Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. He'd pick Elena up, spend the day with her, bring her home tired and happy. Cassie hated it, but also appreciated it. She got Saturdays to herself, could sleep in, run errands, go to therapy, have adult time with Nina. She'd started dating someone, Thomas, a teacher. Nina introduced them. He was kind, patient, calm, everything Derek wasn't. He loved Elena, treated her like his own, didn't try to replace Derek, just added to her life. Derek met him. It was awkward, tense, but civil. You're good for her, Derek said. Both of them. I'm trying to be, Thomas replied. I wasn't, but I'm learning. They'd never be friends, but they coexisted. For Elena. Cassie got engaged to Thomas when Elena was 18 months old. Small proposal, intimate, perfect. Derek sent a card. Congratulations. I'm happy for you. You deserve happiness. She didn't know if he meant it, but it was kind. That counted for something. Elena's second birthday party was at Jonathan's penthouse. All her people. Nina, Brielle, Trevor and his wife. Linda Morrison. Dr. Wells. Thomas. Even Derek. Elena toddles around. Happy, secure, loved by many. Cassie stood at the window. Watched the city below. Thought about the woman she'd been 2 years ago, walking into that clinic, exhausted, controlled, lost. She wasn't that woman anymore. She was someone who survived, who fought, who chose herself and her child, who forgave herself for staying too long, who built a new life from ashes. You okay? Jonathan asked. Yeah, Cassie said, and meant it. I'm really okay. Elena ran over. Mama, cake! Cassie laughed, scooped her up. Okay, baby girl, let's get some cake. They walked toward the party, toward the people who loved them, toward the future. Derek was there, talking to Thomas, awkward but trying. He'd done the work, proven himself, slowly, consistently. Maybe the change was real. Maybe it wasn't. Time would tell. But Cassie wasn't responsible for Derek's journey anymore. She was only responsible for her own, and for protecting Elena. Everything else was just noise. She cut the birthday cake. 2 candles. Everyone gathered around, sang happy birthday. Elena clapped, delighted. Before she blew out the candles, Cassie closed her eyes, made a wish, not for herself, for Elena. She wished for her daughter to grow up knowing her own worth, to never make herself small for anyone, to choose partners who respected her, to break the cycles completely. She wished for Elena to know she was loved by so many people, in so many ways, that she'd never be alone, never be without support. She wished for wisdom, for strength, for joy. Then she opened her eyes, saw her daughter, her father, her life, and knew this was enough. This was everything. The candles flickered and went out. The room erupted in applause. Elena squealed with delight, and Cassie stood there, holding her daughter, surrounded by love. Finally home. Not the home she'd planned, not the life she'd imagined, but something better, something real, something earned. She'd walked through fire and came out the other side, burned, scarred, but also stronger, wiser, free. The little girl who grew up in this penthouse, the young woman who ran away to Derek, the battered wife who walked into that clinic, the new mother who fought in court. All of her, every version, had led to this moment, this perfect, imperfect, beautiful moment. "Make a wish, Mama," Elena said, though she'd already blown out the candles. "I already did, sweetheart, and it came true." "What you wish?" Cassie kissed her daughter's forehead. "I wished for you, and here you are." Elena hugged her tight. "Love you, Mama. Love you too, baby girl. Always, no matter what." The party continued. Laughter, conversation, life. Jonathan caught Cassie's eye across the room, smiled, proud, grateful, whole. She smiled back, mouthed thank you. He nodded, mouthed I love you. Nina raised her glass, silently toasted. To survival, to sisterhood, to second chances. Even Derek, sitting quietly in the corner, looked peaceful. Whether the peace was real or temporary, Cassie didn't know. Didn't need to know. It wasn't her problem anymore. She'd given him the gift of chance, of possibility. What he did with it was up to him. Her only job was protecting Elena, building a life, becoming the woman she was always meant to be. The woman who knew love wasn't control, wasn't possession, wasn't sacrifice. Love was freedom, was choice, was showing up, was doing the hard work, was letting people be fully themselves. That's what her father showed her, what Nina showed her, what Thomas was showing her now, and that's what she'd show Elena. Every single day, for the rest of her life. The bruise on her face was long gone, faded months ago, but the memory remained, the reminder. She was that woman, the one in the clinic, the one who got hit, the one who almost didn't leave. But she was also this woman, the one who did leave, the one who fought, the one who won. Both truths could exist together. The room was warm, full. The city sparkled below. Elena played with her new toys. Jonathan told stories. Nina laughed. Thomas smiled at her across the room. This was her life now. Messy, complicated, imperfect, beautiful. And she wouldn't trade it for anything. Not even for the fairy tale she once believed in. The one where Derek was the hero, where she was the princess, where love conquered all. That fairy tale was a lie. This was the truth. Hard won, earned through blood and tears and sleepless nights. But it was hers. Really, truly hers. And that made all the difference. The party wound down. Guests left. Elena fell asleep on the couch, exhausted from excitement. Jonathan covered her with a blanket. Cassie sat beside her daughter, watched her breathe, marveled at the miracle of her existence. 2 years ago, she was trapped. 6 years ago, she was lost. 20 years ago, she was just a girl who didn't know a heartbreak was coming. But now, right now, in this moment, she was exactly who she needed to be. A mother, a survivor, a woman who knew her worth. The journey wasn't over, would never be over. There would be more court dates, more challenges, more moments of doubt. But she'd face them because she'd faced worse and survived. The crack of his palm against her face echoed through the marble lobby like a gunshot. That's how it started. But this moment, this peace, this love, this is how it ended. Not with violence, but with victory. Not with pain, but with healing. Not with an ending, but with a beginning. And Cassie was ready, finally ready, for whatever came next. Because she wasn't alone anymore. She had her daughter, her father, her people, herself, and that was more than enough. That was everything. Cassie stood at that window, holding her daughter, surrounded by the people who truly loved her. And she finally understood something. The strongest thing you can do isn't staying. It's leaving. It's choosing yourself. It's breaking the cycle. She walked through fire and came out stronger on the other side. If this story moved you, if Cassie's journey resonated with you, if you know someone who needs to hear this message, hit that like button. Share this story because somewhere someone is sitting in a clinic waiting room right now, making excuses for the person who hurt them. And they need to know they're not alone. Drop a comment and tell me what moment hit you hardest. When did you realize Cassie was going to make it? And subscribe to this channel because every week we share stories that matter. Stories about survival, about strength, about the power of choosing yourself. You're not alone. You never were. See you in the next one.